Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show. There we are. Yes, I am solo today. IndyCar Tim having some internet issues in Dallas where it's frigid cold. But we will be joined by my good friend Brian Fasulo live from the PGA Merchandise Show where they're showing off all the new cool stuff. We went to that last year. Very, very interesting. Always fun if you're a golfer to go to the superstore of new inventions and everything else that's happening. We got a good show for you today. Coming up, we're going to talk some Buccaneers. Dave Canales may be getting the Carolina Panthers head coaching job in a shocking move, but there's a lot more interviews to go, so we'll run down that for you as well. The Bolts hosting the Coyotes tonight at Amalie Arena. I'll be over there doing my thing on the Jumbotron. We hope you guys show up for this one. The Bolts tried to avenge a 3-1 loss earlier this year at Mullet Arena. So we'll talk a little Bolts this morning as well. We'll get into some NFL talk as we get closer to the championship games this weekend. Hit on those a little bit, but there's definitely some interesting injury news in those particular games to talk about. So we'll get to that. The USF basketball team is on a freaking roll. Their fourth straight come from behind victory. So we got some actual college basketball we could talk about in Tampa Bay, which is always fun. Gasparilla is coming up. Some schedules released in FSU and Miami got their schedule released. So college football talk, all kinds of good stuff coming up today on the JP Peterson Show. And I'm going solo, so you never know what's going to happen. All right, let's jump right into it. The big news of the day, Jim Harbaugh, as expected, taking the Los Angeles Chargers head coaching position. I just can't kind of grasp Jim Harbaugh, LA. Like San Diego, maybe. All right. You know, he coached college football there, played there. But LA? Like, can you imagine Jim Harbaugh going to all these ritzy LA Hollywood parties or being surrounded by those folks in the PR opportunities for the Chargers? Hey, we got Will Ferrell coming in today. Yeah, I don't know. Awkward? Yeah, kind of awkward. Anyway, so Jim Harbaugh, the misfit, will try to fit in LA with the Chargers. Of course, he's got a great quarterback to work with. And Justin Herbert obviously has all the tools. But this is anything but a slam dunk with Patrick Mahomes in your division. They've got a bit of an aging roster now. They've got salary cap issues. So there's a lot of work to be done with the Chargers. And the most interesting thing about the Chargers, and maybe this is why he likes the gig, is it's such a second-class citizen operation, especially in LA. I mean, when you start talking about where the Chargers are in the hierarchy of LA sports, I mean, you got obviously the Lakers at the top, Lakers, Dodgers at the top. It's close, I think, between those two. They pretty much own LA. And then you have, you start going down from there. You've got the Clippers, which is kind of like the Chargers are. You've got the Rams, obviously, who just won a Super Bowl not so recently. So you have the Rams, who you share a field with. So they're kind of above you. You got USC football, which is always kind of there as well. So you got, and that's just in the sporting landscape. So you got a lot to compete with before you get to the LA Chargers. But in terms of turning this team around, I think it's going to be very interesting because everywhere Harbaugh has gone, he's won. Although, let's just be honest, he struggled for a long time at Michigan. I mean, you look at, pre-Connor Stallion, he struggled tremendously at Michigan. And I think a lot of it was because he was very intransigent in his old school ways. And he didn't want to hire younger coaches. He wanted to stay with Don Brown as his defensive coordinator. He didn't want to, hire young coaches that could go out and recruit. He was, very stayed in his way, didn't want to update the offense, didn't want to do, or actually tried to update the offense and wasn't getting the players that he needed to do that. And he couldn't beat Ohio State. And whatever you want to make, it's interesting to me how certain people and programs are treated. But when you look at what Michigan did vis-a-vis what FSU did, and the vitriol towards FSU for just merely trying to improve their station as a program and get their due in terms of their media rights, it's a totally different deal. So he struggled for him, and everybody wants to point out, he went to 3 or 4 straight conference championship games. He did a great job with the 49ers. There's no question about that. But that was a while ago. That's almost 10 years ago. And I think the league has changed tremendously. And I think the players have changed tremendously. I think in a college setting where you are the dictator and you run everything and you have all the power, I think Jim Harbaugh can work in that area. He can create his culture. I think collegiately that works for him. I don't know if it works that whole quirky, Dickies, khaki pants works at an NFL level anymore. I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll be a grand experiment. And what he can do with quarterbacks. He's always been a great developer of quarterbacks, although, J.J. McCarthy certainly wasn't the reason why they won the national championship. Full credit for Jim Harbaugh changing and adapting to a lot of different things from a collegiate standpoint, whether that was the cheating or it was getting better players, which of course he did. He started to get better players. He started to recruit better. So all that certainly counts and was a huge reason they won the national championship. Now, of course, everything is equal in the NFL in terms of talent acquisition, salary cap, draft, et cetera. You have a much bigger advantage at the big programs in college. Obviously, Alabama, Michigan, the blue bloods have an advantage in terms of recruiting. Most every week they go out on the field, they're going to have a decided talent advantage. He's not going to have that, obviously, in the NFL, but this is a guy who's proven it at the NFL level. So we'll see. I think it's very much going to be an interesting situation. It looks like Sherrone Moore is going to take over at Michigan, so they elevate the assistant coach that did a great job in Harbaugh's absence. Very popular with the players, great offensive mind. So that'll be interesting to see how Michigan moves on. And we've seen a lot of this lately at some very, very blue blood programs where there's an internal elevation. We saw it at Notre Dame. We're seeing it here. And I think initial returns were not great at Notre Dame, but I think, it's definitely headed in the right direction. So we'll see how that works out in Michigan. And I think there was talk of Brian Kelly maybe getting that job and moving from LSU, a coveted job, which would be interesting because obviously that would open up the LSU job, which is a premium job in the South. So there may have been some more dominoes to fall. I was listening to Jeff Cameron's show on the podcast. Great show if you're an FSU fan, by the way. They were talking about would Mike Norvell then be interested in the LSU job? They seem to think so. Although I would think that through this round of elevations and contracts that Mike Norvell would be staying put for a while, maybe not be looking at other jobs. But that's what Sexton does, what the agents do. They do this to get more money and get more power. That's their job. That's how it works. And I'm not going to sit here and cry about that. That's the way it is in college football. But I don't think we're going to see those dominoes because it looks like Sherrone Moore's going to get that job up in Michigan. So interesting to see you guys. I would be interested to hear what you guys think. Jump in the comments about Harbaugh. Do you think he's going to be a success with the Chargers? A lot to do. He's got to hire a GM. Jay Harbaugh, his son, is likely going to come with him. Perhaps Greg Roman, former OC at the Ravens. There's been talk of him joining him as well. Obviously worked for his brother John for a long time. I'm sure they're very well acquainted. So we'll see. And who's the GM? Who wants to work with Jim Harbaugh? That'll be interesting to see what name pops up there. And it's not it's set in stone, but normally the GM is hired first and then the coach is hired. So you have a situation here where, Harbaugh's running the show. Whoever the GM is going to be, he's going to be a puppet of Jim Harbaugh. I never like those situations. I think they should be separate. Obviously have a great working relationship together, but when you put the head coach ahead of the GM, it can work. Obviously, Belichick was his own GM for a long time, but it didn't work with John Gruden when he handpicked Bruce Allen to be his GM. The personnel decisions from then on were disasters and eventually ruined the franchise. So and what followed was not good. 14 years of really bad football, or however many years it was. So, it's it'll be interesting to see how it goes down in San Diego. And Harbaugh is obviously a very polarizing figure. So we'll see. So, guys jumping in here, I'll get to some comments. Good morning to you, Nathan Elliott. As he says, is the challenge of knocking off Andy Reid that is bringing Harbaugh, Peyton, and Pierce. It's a tough division. It's a tough division. I don't think he's going to run from a challenge. That's for sure. Obviously, he wanted to jump to the NFL. I think he wanted to get out of college football for whatever sanctions were coming. I'm sure he's sick of the NCAA. I'm sure he's sick of the NIL. I'm sure he's sick of all that stuff. So it's not a shock that he's going to the NFL to escape all those things. But again, it's not going to be as easy as it was in college in terms of talent acquisition and having a much more talent than the other team on a daily basis. TJC 22, good morning to you guys. Who will join Harbaugh's staff? Scott Turner, Greg Roman. Yeah, David Shaw, who's getting some head coaching interviews. Interesting, David Shaw, former Stanford coach. So that's interesting. Know those three already. Yeah, I think they've all worked together before in some capacity. Hate to say it, but after chatting with quite a few NFL scouts, JJ is going to end up going back half of the first round, early second. JJ McCarthy. Yeah, I didn't see enough of him. I'm not here to say he can't do it in the NFL, but when you're head coach in a huge game, it just completely takes the ball out of your hands in the second half. And they got 32 straight running plays against Penn State. Now, it's good coaching. You're not going to lose the game because Penn State was never going to score. You just got to eat up the clock. So, but again, if he was that good, you would have probably seen more of him, I would think, right? But then again, hey, if he's there in the second round, do the Bucs move up to get him? Interesting. And are the Bucs looking for a quarterback that Baker Mayfield can groom? Does Baker Mayfield want a young quarterback nipping at his heels? I would sense, and we're going to get to the Bucs here in just a second with Dave Canales. But if I'm the Buccaneers, unless something falls in my lap, unless Michael Penix falls to me in the second round or JJ McCarthy, I'm not drafting a quarterback. You got Kyle Trask still under contract, if I'm not mistaken, in one more year. He's a more than capable backup. He works well, obviously, with Baker Mayfield. That whole dynamic works. A lot of other teams going after quarterbacks. Unless something falls in your lap, I got other holes to fill. I need an edge rusher, maybe two. I need a center. I need a left guard. Might need a linebacker. A cornerback is always good to have a good talent. And you just want to keep adding talent at whatever position you want to add a talent. I'd like to get a premium tight end that can do both things, block and catch the football to complement Cade Otton. I think Cade Otton's he's a little above average maybe in terms of catching the ball, blocking, not so much. So I think there's a lot of things you can add to this Buccaneers team. So I don't think drafting a quarterback, if you're going to sign Baker Mayfield, he's your priority for the next 3-4 years. No sense in bringing in a young kid, that might be nipping at his heels. Unless something really unless there's a talent there that falls in your lap, because quarterback obviously is always the number one position in football. You got to have, and if you can get a good one, you think you got a diamond in the rough, yeah, go ahead, draft him. That's fine. It's and he will back up Baker Mayfield and learn from a guy that knows how to be a pro. And that's good. And I don't think that's ever a bad thing. But I think, at this point, maybe it's a bigger priority to fill some of those other holes and keep building towards a Super Bowl. Pearson's going to be the coach that's going to give the Chiefs fits. Yeah, I don't, I think that's a great fit there for the Raiders too, and he's proven it too. And again, I've said this many times this week when we're talking about finding coaches. To me, it is not about offensive or defensive side. To me, it's find a leader of men. And as Jim Harbaugh is, he is a leader of men. He is obviously, won everywhere he's gone. That works. But again, does that style still work? The way he leads men, does that style still work in the NFL? Players change, cultures change. And I think since he's been in the NFL, there's been a lot of change, a lot of change. Both Harbaugh ties, with Brown or Dodds will end up being the GM. Okay, we'll see there. Scouts love his traits. They have then they like Penix. I'll say that much. Penix won't go until the third round. That's interesting. Would you take if you're the Bucs and you're late second round and Michael Penix is still on the board, the way he throws the football? I mean, what's not to like, TJC? I mean, scouts obviously missed on a lot. Is it the injury history? Is it he's not a great runner, obviously, but he's a phenomenal passer. As good a passer I've seen, especially on the deep ball, since Joe Burrow in college. And that to me is his comp in terms of throwing the football. I don't see what's not to like about Michael Penix, except that if you're, 2 ACLs and the fact that he's 26 years old, to me is great. The guys with more starts, the better. And that's proven out to be, Brock Purdy's a perfect example of that. One of the reasons I think he was so pro ready is because he had 56 starts in college, I think it was. Give me a guy that has tons of reps throwing the football. He throws with anticipation. To me, his Penix comp is Brock Purdy. Not a phenomenal, a good enough athlete, certainly a good enough athlete. Not a crazy athlete like a Lamar Jackson, but good enough to use his feet when he has to. And just a phenomenal thrower of the football. What is it that they don't like about Michael Penix? And they like JJ McCarthy more because he's more athletic. I don't know. We'll see where if I'm the Bucs and he's there in the third round. Oh hell yeah, I'm taking it. Yeah, Bucs need center, left guard, edge, linebacker. All of them. Get good players. Continue to draft good players. That's what you need. For Michael Penix, 2 ACLs, rotator cuff, and AC joint on his throwing arm. Did not know about that. Can't throw over the middle of the field. Bad against pressure. Can't throw over the middle of the field? Huh. I mean, a lot of his deep shots are down the field, down the boundary. I don't know. I'll have to go check his tape a little bit more. From what I've seen, pretty damn good stuff. I didn't know he had the shoulder issues on the throwing shoulder, because he certainly doesn't look like he's limited at all in terms of his throwing arm. But the damaged rotator cuff would be an issue. Jim Alderman, somebody, good buddy Jim, not former, but fraternity brother. Alabama's Nick Dunlap live now, just accepted membership, debuting at Pebble. Oh, cool. The amateur who just won on the PGA Tour. So what did he would have won what, $1.7 million if he would have turned pro. That's crazy. I've always said this in these situations when these happen. We had it happen at Valspar a few years ago. An amateur finished in the top 10. And so what they do with that money is they just divide it up among the other players. So, and especially in terms of a winning, if you're a winner, and I don't know who finished second, I think it was a pretty big name guy last week when the amateur won. That pro's got to write him a check now. Now that he's turned pro and he can accept money, that pro, whatever the difference in his paycheck would have been, that dude needs to write that guy a check at least half, if not 3/4. You didn't earn it. You didn't earn that extra money. So dadgummit, they should start making that like a gentleman's agreement on the PGA Tour. Something like that happens, and it hasn't happened since Mickelson won in '91, so it's not like it's happening all the time. But amateurs do finish high and can win money. But in this case, like if you're the second place dude and you get his money, then whatever the difference is in the second and the first place check, you got to cut him some money, give it to charity, definitely give him some money. Then some of it goes to charity, and then whatever the hell you want to do with it. But keep a little bit for yourself. But most of that money needs to go. Am I right? Am I right? You can't be. Come on. Let's do the right thing here. So yeah, and what a story he is. Is that going to be a flash? Golf's a weird thing, man. There's so many good players out there, and you get hot. But man, being able to that made about an 8-footer to win by one. I mean, that's some serious onions. That's some serious onions. You can make an 8-footer, and I looked a little uphill and kind of straight, but he freaking poured that thing in. Man, I couldn't even pull that putter head back. Are you kidding me? Good God, that's some stones. That is some stones. So congrats to him, and look for him at Pebble Beach. We'll get our man John Gerber on the show, and because he'll be out at Pebble Beach playing with the whole group. So we'll get that done. All right, on to Dave Canales. He is getting a second interview in Carolina. The lot of talk is because Dan Morgan was named the GM and the head of football operations and Canales was with Dan Morgan, former UM and linebacker, Carolina Panthers linebacker. Canales, they worked together for 8 years in Seattle and remained good friends. So these ties, they matter. They really, really do matter. So I think it's a long shot? Yeah, I still think it's a lob shot. Todd Monken is probably going to interview for this job in between. If they win this week, he's OC of the Ravens, a former OC of the Buccaneers. If they win this week, which I think they will, of course, we already know that it's preordained. Follow the script. We saw the little promo. It's our Super Bowl's already set. In case you didn't know that, 49ers and Ravens. Bet on it. By the way, if you guys want me to get into that whole thing, we can do that today. If you didn't see the little promo, I'll write that down. If we get to the other, because I've got a really weird take on that, which I'm sure you guys will be shocked about. Yeah. So this. Yeah, I understand, TJ, that he said Dunlap had to declare pro status before the event starts to get the money. Yeah, I know that works, but I'm just saying, do the right thing, bro. Do the right thing. And they should allow these kids. I mean, what this amateur rule is so stupid. It's the same thing as freaking college football and the Bobby Jones amateur thing. Can we stop with this nonsense? Can we just stop with the nonsense? If the guy wins the freaking tournament, turn pro. Change the rule. You're now allowed to turn pro, right? What are we doing here? That is so old school. Let's get rid of that so we don't have to deal with this nonsense. You win a tournament, it's worth $2 million. Come on, you're in. You're in. Oh, but the tradition. Come on, what are we doing here? Back in the day, amateur status mattered. Okay, you could play in those more prestigious amateur tournaments. We're talking 1930s. All right, what are we doing now? What are we doing? You win a pro tournament, you want to turn pro, you can turn pro and collect the money. Is that so hard to do? No, I don't think it is. Anybody against that? Put it up. TJ says, amazing story, already exempt for Masters in the U.S. Open. I know, that is fantastic. It's so cool. And I tell you what, the PGA Tour needs some stars because they got a lot leaving. I was watching a little bit of the tournament at Palm Springs, and you're just like, where are the big names? They're on the LIV Tour. I hate to say it, especially with Jon Rahm now defecting. There, and Rory doesn't play, and some of these other guys don't play. Looks like a freaking, the John Deere Open out there. It's not a whole lot of cachet, and PGA Tour is losing sponsors. We'll get some of our golf folks to come on and talk about this, but I think the Jon Rahm defection was big, and we all thought that this whole, LIV Golf and PGA Tour coming together was going to happen. Wow, that whole thing blew up. I mean, you talk about what a disaster golf is right now. Golf is a disaster. Nobody knows what the future of golf is. The PGA Tour, the Live Tour, are they going to combine? Are they not going to combine? It's pretty weird. TJ says, yeah, second place got 1.5 mil. You should absolutely give him most of it. Absolutely, right? Dunlap probably makes 2 to 3 mil on NIL and endorsements now at Bama. I don't know about that, TJ. For a golfer, I don't know golfer making 2 to 3 mil in NIL. I guess now that he's won a tournament, yeah. I mean, Callaway and everybody else will jump on in. Yeah. I'm sure they were already a little bit involved, but not to the level of these pro golfers. But to win a tour event, and that's the other thing. I mean, it could be, is he going to be the next Phil Mickelson? That's a long shot. It's an incredible accomplishment, but that's a long shot. Win 7-8 majors. I don't know. Bezaden who was second, Xander and JT tied for third. Give the kid the money. That's right. Give him the money. You guys don't freaking need it. Do the right thing. How come there's not more calls for this? I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this. Absolutely. Give him the dadgum money. You didn't earn it. Yeah. There's no way, TJ. There's no way he's making 2 to 3 million in NIL money. Now that he's won, maybe, but not before then, right? You're not saying before then. No way. I don't know how we got off on golf, but by the way, Brian Fusillo is going to join us from the PGA Merchandise Show, so we'll have some fun talking about that as well. There's a lot of interesting stories in golf, including the I'm sure you've all seen the transgender golfer that won on one of the minor league tours at LPGA. By the way, LPGA down at Bradenton this week. Nelly Corder and all the group are down there. Should be a good showdown if the LPGA gets started up. And now there's a golf brand on the rise. Absolutely, without question. There's a golf brand on the rise. All right, wanted to get to Dave Canales before you guys got me off on this tangent. Is he going to get the job in Carolina? I don't think so. You still got a lot of big names that are going to get in there. I mentioned Todd Monken after he's done with the Ravens, or actually if there's a Super Bowl window, he'll interview in the off week. Raheem Morris is getting a second interview. I think Raheem Morris is a hot topic. Don't think of him as the 33-year-old that took over the Buccaneers a long time ago. Also won 10 games one year. Very talented guy, but now 18 years, 17 years later in his career, he is, I think, he's gonna get one of these head coaching jobs, and I think he's gonna do a really good job. I'll be interested to see how he does, because I think he is a leader of men. I think he's learned, won the Super Bowl with the Rams. Obviously, grown up a lot. I think always well liked, great charisma in the room. I think Raheem will do a nice job. We'll see if he'll. Bobby Slowick's also gonna interview the Texans offensive coordinator now that they've been popped out. And Vrabel, did I mention Mike Vrabel is going to interview on Thursday? Obviously, he will be the leading candidate. I don't know if Vrabel would take that job. I would think he has other opportunities, to be honest. Ben Johnson, obviously getting the Commandos job, the OC at the Lions. How does that affect the Lions this week? Interesting to note. The Falcons are still looking. They've interviewed 14 former head coaches as candidates and have made no hire, says my good friend TJ's. I just, knowing Arthur Blank, having worked for Arthur Blank up there in Atlanta, know him a little bit. Super nice guy, in his 80s now. It doesn't have time necessarily to build. He needs to win a Super Bowl soon. Stat, right? Which coach gives you that best opportunity? Vrabel, I would say right now. He's obviously has had the most success. Well, obviously Belichick has had the most success. I think the game has passed him by. If you want to watch Bill Belichick get the record and be more relevant than you have been, Arthur, Belichick's your guy. You want to win a Super Bowl? I just think the game has passed him by. If you're running your team without an offensive coordinator with a second year, quarterback like he did, and still didn't find a suitable. I just no, I don't get it. I think that's, and it's clearly he wants the power still. He wants to be able to pick the groceries, right, and be the GM. His drafting has been terrible. He just doesn't know offensive football. Please do it. And he'll take probably 3 years to set the record, 2 or 3 years. I think he needs 15 wins to pass John Shula. You'll have that, and you'll have that relevance, but that's about it. And the thing also I know about Arthur, and it's one of the reasons he hired Dan Quinn. Arthur Blank likes a very forward-thinking, very positive-minded, energetic head coach, right? Like brings a lot of that. That's something that he coveted in Dan Quinn, and he wanted to see that. That was the opposite of Mike Smith, great football coach, but not necessarily the energetic, guy that Dan Quinn was. And I think Arthur Smith probably was, we know how that whole hire went down. So I don't think, I think Dave Canales would knock his socks off. Dave Canales would be that type of person that would really get Arthur Blank's attention. But, and I think that's why he's being looked at in Carolina, because as you heard Dave say in his interview last week, he was prepared. He's been prepared for this head coaching interview for a long time. Talked about this the other day. So apologize if I'm repeating myself here, but he had already had his head coaching presentation ready. And knowing Dave Canales, it was a hell of a presentation. And I think he's going to get one of those head coaching jobs one day. I don't think he's quite ready yet. Especially with some of these other candidates. I think if some of those other candidates want to work with Bryce Young, which I think is kind of a losing proposition, then, we'll see. But I don't think, Dave Canales is quite ready to be that elevated to that level. That's just my personal opinion. And I hope to God he stays in Tampa Bay. But, the Panthers still have to hire a head coach. The Falcons still have to hire a head coach. Maybe they're waiting for one of these guys that are still playing. I don't know. But to me, those are both very interesting situations. And clearly the top candidates don't want them. Does Belichick want that job? I don't know. Would that deal be done if he did want the job? Does Vrabel want that job? Who wants either one of these jobs? And that's great for the Bucs. It was one of the reasons we talked about. I know a lot of people don't believe that Todd Bowles is the guy. If he's not the guy, what's the old General Patton quote? If it must be done eventually, it should be done immediately. Something to that effect, paraphrasing. And I'm with you on that camp. I don't think Todd has shown his game management ability, aggressive enough with challenges, timeouts. We've talked a lot about this stuff. I think he's a really, really good coordinator. I don't know if he's a guy that can take you to the promised land and win a Super Bowl, but he's a great guy, especially in this particular time, to keep building and winning games. You're going to win a division with Todd Bowles. He's proven that back to back. Is he going to win 14 games? Probably not. Is he going to win a Super Bowl? Probably not. Most head coaches don't. Chances are he won't. But can he help you continue to build and win a division, keep winning? There's lessons in winning, right? How to win, get continuity. Absolutely. That's why you keep him and you keep building. You don't have to go through any coaching searches. You don't have to do any of this nonsense. And, the coach and waiting idea, that we talked about this week is not a bad idea for Dave Canales as a younger guy. Have some security knowing that you're going to get a head coaching job eventually. So don't go chasing these other ones. This is yours, and keep building with Baker Mayfield and this offense. If you bring Baker on for 3 guaranteed. You bring Mike Evans on for 3 guaranteed. You've got 3 seasons where you're building in this offense. Rashad White, you got an RB1, you got a WR1, you got a QB1. Keep building the offensive line. Godwin, I'd like to see him stay. I like Godwin. I think he's lost some of his explosiveness that made him an elite wide receiver. I think he's really, really good. I used to say he's a top 5 guy and better than Mike Evans. I think this knee injury was devastating. I think it's changed the way he played, that cheap shot from the Saints. And maybe he gets back to that next year and continues to work. But that explosiveness, that elite run through tacklers ability, separation ability just doesn't seem to be there post-injury. It's pretty damn good. It's probably 90%, but that extra 10% gives you, 1,000-yard season. The guy makes great combat catches, still a good runner after the catch, but he's just not the elite guy that I think we saw earlier on. Are you going to pay him? Because he's got one more year on his contract. Are you going to pay him another $25 million after that? I don't know. I think you have to go with a younger receiver. So we'll see. But again, for at least for this next year, re-sign Mike, re-sign Baker. You've got Evans. Kate Otten continues the continuity here, man. This is what will make this offense a lot better. And, sprinkle in, go find your Jahmyr Gibbs. That guy's a difference maker. No question about it. That explosive running back. Go get a center. Get your running game better. Get a left guard that will be an improvement on what you had last year. These are all things that are very doable in the offseason for this offense to get better. I see it. No question about it. All right, you guys want to jump in? Don't forget you can do that on YouTube and on Facebook and also at FanStream JP. We'll take a quick break, come back on the other side. Want to talk some Bolts as they get ready for the Coyotes. Tell me your thoughts on the Bucs. Dave Canales, head coach and all that stuff. You guys want to jump in there on that? We can do that as well. So we'll take a quick JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank. And I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta. Big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to Synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Thursday, going solo. So if you guys want to jump in on the comments, whatever you want to chat about, Bucks, we got Lightning coming up tonight. Golf has been a hot topic this morning. My good friend Brian Fasulo is going to, sorry about my shirt, join me from the PGA merchandise show, which is going on over here in Orlando. I went to that last year, and man, it is always a fun time. If you're a golfer, I think the public is allowed. There are some public you can pay for tickets for it, but it's mostly for industry and media. And if you're a golfer, man, it's just like it's heaven. It's heaven to see all the new equipment, all the new styles, all the new everything. Really fun, and it's humongous. It takes up the entire Orange County Convention Center, which if you've ever seen that is just crazy. So Brian will join us on StreamYard. Going to do a little walk and talk, show us some of the new stuff as we go through that. So we'll do that at 11 o'clock. Get to some other comments here from TJC. Atlanta, it's Bill unless McKay doesn't sign off on it because of their poor history. Bill went after him and the competition committee. Forgot about that. Interesting. If it's not Bill, it's Morris or Vrabel for Atlanta. Yeah, obviously Raheem worked there a long time. Raheem was working there when I was working for the Falcons. So Arthur knows Raheem really well. They have a great relationship. So my money would be on Raheem Morris unless if Vrabel wants it. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't. Of all the job openings, I would think that's probably the best right now. TJC, I would ask you what you think on that. I think they got a top 10 defense. They've got good talent. I think they're a quarterback away. I mean, they've got, obviously running back is loaded. Receiver, they've got some great young receivers and Kyle Pitts and who's obviously been misused. The offensive line is not bad. They're maybe a coach and a quarterback away. And what do they do at quarterback? That's going to be really, really interesting. There's been talk of Justin Fields, who obviously an Atlanta guy, Georgia guy. Does he come back? He missed on that opportunity, and he's rapidly improving. It looks like the Bears are moving on, but you're going to have to give up some chips for that. But not a first rounder. A lot of people saying 2 2s, maybe a 2 and a 3 might get it done. I don't know. If they find a quarterback and get Vrabel as the coach, are they suddenly the NFC South favorites? That'd be a very interesting offseason. And do they where are they picking in the draft too? They'll have a shot at a good young quarterback in the draft too, I would think. So maybe that's the route they go. Maybe not the top ones. Russell Wilson. I hope Russell Wilson goes to. I think Russ is cooked. Although he put up good numbers this year. He put up some really good numbers. I know that it took a while for things to get going in Denver, but that was weird because he was having a good season, and then Sean Payton and he just didn't see eye to eye. I just don't. You look at Russell Wilson and look at Drew Brees. I mean, these are just two completely different human beings, and I think maybe that's what Sean Payton is looking for. I mean, I think it's more of the off the field stuff, the demeanor, than it is, because although there was a lot of talk that Russ couldn't get to those other plays and just wasn't as good and cerebral as Drew was with that offense. And I'm not saying he's not as smart. So I'm saying I'm just within that offense, football IQ, Drew Brees was off the charts. And the way he prepared was off the freaking charts. Maybe Russell doesn't do it that way. Everybody's different, right? Russell's always kind of, he's much more naturally talented than Drew Brees, clearly. So, but as an older guy, he just doesn't run like he used to. And obviously Sean Payton wanted to move on, but I don't know if Russell Wilson's your guy in Atlanta, how about it? Christopher Cole says Bucs quarterbacks coach drawing interest from the Raiders to be their OC. Yeah. And we talked about this yesterday. If Dave Canales were to get that job in Carolina, again, I still think that's a long shot. The sky is not falling here. Thad Lewis, I think, is a great reputation among this coaching staff. The players love him. Baker's spoken very highly of him. I think it would be kind of a seamless transition. Would he be as talented at play call? Well, I say talented play callers, Dave Canales. There were a lot of games. Let's not forget the Saints game. Let's not forget the Carolina game. Let's not forget this offense had its issues for a lot of different games this year. The Philadelphia game, the Lions, the original Lions game. So, but Dave came a long way. It was a definite improvement, but I'm just, he's not Sean McVay just yet. So if we lose him, Thad Lewis, I think would be the natural elevation. Keep the continuity going. Don't bring in somebody different to bring in a whole new system. I don't think that would be a plus. I really don't think that would be a plus. Jeremy Lowe, hello to you, says, I like Baker at 25 to 30 million on a 3-year deal with incentives to keep other players like Mike. Chris could be the odd man out after next season. I think that's fair. Yeah. And again, if Baker, wants to jump to 45, I think that's, I think it's too much. I think it's too much, and it doesn't give you enough wiggle room to get everybody under it. And I think it would be so dumb for him to do that. Just chase money. I just think that would be, you get 25 and 30, you get guaranteed 90, 100 million, in a place where they clearly love you. You found a home. You trust the people here. We trust you. It's a good setup. Where are you going to go? You going to go to Atlanta? Where are you going to go? I don't think it's smart. I just don't think it's smart for Baker to do that. And then you get, 100's a lot, by the way. It's a lot. Guaranteed money. That's a lot. You played for 4 this year. And endorsements, obviously, how to make money in endorsements. You can make a lot of money there. Like he strikes me as a guy that really wants to win and wants to be part of something as a team. What better way to show that than take 25 to 30 million? And, it's no state income tax, obviously, all those other things about living in Tampa Bay that are awesome. It'd be crazy to chase something more than that, in my opinion. TJ says, I expected to average about 35 million. You're probably right. But I think if I were Bake, I'd try to keep it 25, 30 million. And 25 might be a little low with inflation. Okay. But again, it's enough. It's enough. It's more than enough. That's what I don't understand. Like, are you getting disrespected? Don't you want to win? Don't you want to, if you're Baker Mayfield, don't you just want to win? Isn't it, do you have a better chance to win if you leave, 5-10 million on the table? On the table, meaning you have to go somewhere else to get it. Right. And how will you fit in there? How will that offensive coordinator work with you? Will you have the same weapons? Will you be embraced by the fan base? All those things, all the work that you put in here, just goes by the wayside because you chase 5 to 10 million a year. What, 20 million over the contract? Is that going to make a difference in your life? You can't spend the money you've already made from your rookie contract and all the endorsements that came with that. And the money you're going to make guaranteed on this deal at probably at least $100 million. Is that not enough to stay with a quality of life? I know I'm different in this way, but to me, is that not enough? Gee, Jiminy Christmas. I'd be doing Tom Brady stuff all the time. No, give me 25 million, pay everybody else. I'm good. I made money. I got more money than I'll ever spend. Like, I want to win. I want to be part of something bigger. I want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that hogs all the salary cap money. I don't want to be that guy. When the money's that big, I don't know why more quarterbacks don't do that, to be honest with you. You can't spend that much money in a lifetime. Thomas Casper, good morning to you. My friend says Baker would love a huge Super Bowl incentive bonus contract. Sure. I give him all the incentives he wants. Hell yeah. Load it up. You're in a conundrum there because if he takes less, he also screwing over other QBs. Another negotiation. Those things impact the free market rates. I get it, but I'm so tired of hearing that. I think that's a false narrative, to be quite honest, in the bigger scheme of things, right? I understand. So the other quarterbacks aren't going to get 50 million, 45. Enough's enough. Enough is enough. When tangent coming, when did it become okay to be so effing greedy? Everybody on Instagram wants to show you how rich they are. I think it's gross. I think it's disgusting. If you're that rich, you don't need to flaunt it, by the way. You don't need to show everybody, stick it in everybody's face. Whatever happened to a little bit of humility? Whatever happened to saying, you know what? I'd rather share a little bit more. Capitalism is great. Yes, Gordon Gekko. Greed is good in a lot of ways because it lifts all tides. Socialism, communism kills everyone. But that is proven. If you haven't figured it out, you don't know history. All right? So incentive, yes, is part of it. But there becomes a part where greed is not good. Greed makes capitalism look ugly at times because there's no CEO that needs to be making $500 million a year. You're not worth it. There's no CEO in my mind that needs to be making $50 million a year. When everybody at the lower end of the chain can barely pay their rent, the employees. Give me the CEO that says, you know what? I'm not taking my $30 million bonus this year because I've made $300 million in the last 2 years. I'm good. I'm going to give it all back to my coworkers, and we're going to hire more people in middle management and up everybody's salary. How about we start making that a trend instead of get your bag and you got to take more money so everybody else can get more money. Why? I mean, there comes a point where enough is enough. $25 million a year as a quarterback is plenty, especially in a salary cap league. What better way to prove you're a team player? Brady did it. The guy could have demanded $100 million every year, but he knew he wouldn't win. He had enough. He could go make more money in endorsements than the offensive tackle can. Why don't we start celebrating that? And I'm not getting mad at you, TJC. You're absolutely right. That's the way the market works. I'm just saying, why? Can we not question that? If every time somebody says, well, the NFLPA is going to get mad, screw them. They're not me. This is me and my family. I want to stay here and I want to win, and I'm going to take less money to do it. And if you've got a problem with that, my number one priority is not money and you making more money. And everybody else, well, then the players that follow you won't make. Yeah, they will. The salary cap's coming up. And maybe it's better that the quarterback doesn't make all the money. Maybe that's a better deal. Maybe it's better that the offensive line collectively makes more money. That would be for me as a quarterback. I'd take less money to have a better offensive line. I make more money. We win more games. I get more endorsements. Everybody's happy. I hog all the money. I get a terrible left guard. I get my knee taken out. I'm done. I mean, you can make a case for less money gives you a longer career. Make more money. If money is your ultimate goal, if that's all you're worried about, then yeah. So I'm tired of hearing that argument, and I think it's a false narrative, and I think everybody just accepts it as, oh, yeah, you can't take less money. And I see the guys on Get Up all the time. Oh, no, the organization, that's on them. Don't ask for a hometown discount. You got to learn. Everybody has a salary cap. You got to figure it out. That's just dumb, in my opinion. That's dumb. It's a fixed amount. The people that are running the organization, you think they want to lose? You think you need to incentivize them to make better decisions? How about you give them more tools to make better decisions? How about that idea? To me, that's being a team player. To me, that's being that's making wise financial decisions for the team. And I'm surprised more quarterbacks don't do it. I mean, look at the situation Dak Prescott is in right now. He's got family members, surrogates of the actual players, who are out there, on Twitter and social media going, Dak ain't it. Dak ain't it. And you don't think the fact that he's making that kind of money doesn't play into it? Yes, it does. Oh, yes, it does. If Dak were here saying, look, my next contract, I'm going to take half, and I want the Cowboys to go give it to these other players, and let's get better on the offensive line. Let's get better here. It's like, that is so taboo. You're not allowed to do that. Bull crap. Be a leader. Step up and say why. Are people really going to, and if you're saying this, so other players now, maybe the other quarterbacks don't get as much money, but guess what? They will. But it also means more money for other players. It means the money is more equally distributed. What aren't the members of the NFLPA going to be okay with that? I would think. Salary cap's not coming down. A player taking less money does not affect the salary cap. Okay? It just spreads out more for the team. The salary cap is determined by league revenue. whether a quarterback takes 30 million or 80 million does not change league revenue. So in essence, you could make the argument, no, that I'm taking less money, but it's more money for the other players in general. And guess what? Makes your league more popular. Revenues go up. You can make that argument as well. So this whole argument that if one player takes less money, it hurts all other players is complete hogwash to me. Complete hogwash. And this is also a huge part of it too. The agents. It's the greedy ass agents. That's it. You're absolutely right, TJC. And they're the ones putting this in the players' heads. Oh, you can't take less money because my commission's going to be less. You can't take less money. We got to get all we can get. No, you don't. You're the player. Baker Mayfield, here's your opportunity. Maybe you come out and I'll give you the talking points I just gave you. You come out at a press conference and give those talking points. I don't think other players there might be a few quarterbacks who send you a nasty text, but the majority of players in the league are going to go, yeah, why do the quarterbacks get all the money? Why the hell is Daniel Jones getting $40 million a year? Because that's the going rate for a franchise quarterback. Stupid in a salary cap league. Asinine. Here's Cecil, right on the money. Daniel Jones' contract does more to harm the market than Baker taking less. Absolutely. And again, ask the other players that are not quarterbacks how they would like this whole thing to go down, because that's more money for them. Christopher Cole, Deshaun Watson, enough said. And TJC, yeah, I'm 100% on board with you. Trust me, I'd take less to let the team build. Absolutely. Why won't anyone say that? He says no one says it, but it's an actual conversation that goes on when agents are negotiating behind the scenes. So you damn well believe it has an impact. I don't agree with it. Just a reality. No, and I know. But maybe if more players come to the podium and say that out loud part, that it changes the narrative. Because it does. If for other players, it gives them more money. And I would like to say, hey, Baker, I'll send you the copy points. You can do we can do the interview right here on the show. Be the hero. Be the hero. Be the guy that takes less money. That's your brand anyway, bro. You do that, I guarantee you'll make it back threefold in endorsements. Threefold. The one, what are you going to leave on the table? 25, 30 million after taxes. That's what? 2 million in California or New York. But yeah, be that guy. Be that guy. And what better market to do it in, man? Be the Schooner Tuna guy. You guys know that reference. Thumbs up to you. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take you to the PGA merchandise show and see what cool stuff is popping up over there in Orlando. Quick break, back with our good friend Brian Fasulo at the PGA merchandise show. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Start the new year with a new diamond from the Gold and Diamond Source. It's still engagement season. Where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? Of course, I just got mine there. I'm engaged. You should do the same thing. Let's go. Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country. A literal jewelry superstore with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. And if you have a loved one or a special person in your life who has a birthday this month, maybe you have an anniversary coming up, you can get 15% off the January birthstone, which is garnet, as in garnet and gold for all your Seminoles. Celebrate that mythical national championship. And it's the Gold and Diamond Source's 40th anniversary. For the past 40 years, they have taken pride in offering only natural diamonds formed over billions of years from the Earth's incredible forces. And gold prices are at an all-time high. Now's your chance to turn your jewelry box into a cash machine. It's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Almerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, let's bring up my good friend, not Brianna. It's Brian Fasulo.
Oh, it's Brianna today, boy.
What's up, my friend? How are you? Are you in heaven? I think you're in heaven. Did you die?
Hello and welcome to the PGA show over here in the Orlando Convention Center. There are people here from as far away as, Turkey and India, and it took them the same amount of time to get here on I-4 as it took me to get here. But thousands and thousands of people, everything PGA, really, really great.
Yeah. So what has caught your eye so far? I know you haven't been there long. I see you. The TrackMan is right there behind you.
Yeah, golf show's going live from TrackMan right now. Ping, Cobra. I always find that these marketing sort of coups are interesting. Like, who wouldn't want to smoke, golf club because it has AI. And I can imagine
how's that working for me?
Yeah, the club constantly thinks on your behalf, right?
Well, that's a good thing. I like the concept of that, because take my brain out of it. Like, if we can do that, let's do that.
What I like and what I'm doing here is I'm working with David Ledbetter on what's called the Golf Pitch Challenge, and at 3:00 today on the main stage, we're going to be bringing up inventors, and that's whom I love to work with. Yeah. And they're going to show their wares and try to pitch it so that we can help them bring it to market. This is one that I think I've shown this to you at Palmacia, but this is a unique little gizmo. Have you seen this? Do you know what that is?
No, I don't. What is that?
What that is, I got to free up a hand. You simply take a cigar and you stick it in there, and then it sits in your golf cart, just like that. Right?
That's ingenious. Ingenious. Yeah, caveman could come up with that.
I called that the smoker ball.
The smoker ball.
Yeah,
that works.
And I just put together a website. It's called smokerball.com. I also, there's a guy here with socks that don't smell. I love the
oh my God. That's something whose time has come, for God's sakes.
Yeah, they're called.
Can we do it with underwear?
Take the ball too. Can they do it with underwear?
Now you got something.
They can.
Come on.
So these are socks that are guaranteed not to smell. They're called Ox socks. And the kid's he's a Tampa kid, and he's displaying here this week. And so I like those unique and innovative
Make underwear
things.
out of the same fabric. What's the problem here?
Well,
you of all people should have come up with this facility.
Yeah, but the thing is, as a practical application, people don't smell your underwear in the minivan, right, or on the plane. They just smell it at your house. So it's not as big a problem as you may think.
My friend. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
No.
Okay. All right. Yes, and you're right. So on the plane, for instance, I always like to take my socks, my shoes off. So yes, that is a huge application there.
Yes, and you remember the days of Cullen and Shea and minivans and sports and smelly stuff. I mean, then there's this little group called Titleist, right? Like,
I heard of them.
Yeah, they're going to be okay.
Yeah. Now, Here's what I got to ask you. So for those who don't know, Brian is also known as Infomercial Man. He's one of the leading infomercial people, works with Kevin Harrington of Shark Tank, all the biggies. He's worked with everybody. So he is an inventor. It brings things to market, all those things. So this is your play, and you have a passion for golf. So obviously this is a huge, this is right in your alley. This is perfect for you. So now will you find different things that have not been marketed correctly when you at the show and say, hey, let's do a deal here?
and the product should be right here. I just ran into a kid from Japan. He's a lovely young man, and he gave me a shirt. And this shirt, actually, they have xylitol. Do you know what xylitol is?
It's for bad breath. They put it in gum.
It's in food and gum, correct?
Yeah, right.
So they screen print it on a shirt, and now mind you, there is probably 100,000 different shirts here today, and I'm not joking.
Right.
This guy says, "Touch my shirt." Okay, and you touch his shirt, and it is cooler than any other shirt in the building, without question, undeniable. So, and this guy doesn't even have North American operations. So he said, we're looking to try to get into Texas in the next couple of years and set up a shop, actually this year. And I was like, okay, we need to talk. Because when you have something that unique and innovative and just, you can touch it and you can tell that it's different than everything else, that's the world that I live in, and that's a guy that I want to help. So we're going to have another meeting later.
Yeah, it might help you too. Shocking development. That's good. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. But and this is what this is all about. So this is interesting. So at 3:00, you're going to have kind of like a Shark Tank thing on the main stage with David Ledbetter, and they're going to come up and pitch to people. This is fantastic.
Yeah, we have between 8 and 10 presenters today that have been screened throughout the last several months. I created the video with David and Kevin down at Sarasota at the Ritz, and then they put it online. It's called the Golf Pitch Challenge, and that culminates today at the show. And then we're actually going to do it in Las Vegas. Weiss is shooting it for us, so he's here. I got to go see him in a little while. Yeah.
Nice.
So got the Tampa crew in effect. You know what I'm talking about?
If he gets there on I-4.
He probably left at 9A.
Yeah. So that's cool. I want to hear what the so you've already seen these pitches. Which one do you like the best?
I have not seen the pitches. I'm just helping on the production side. The pitches are all behind closed doors. And by the way, I prefer bitches to pitches. Let's get that straight. And snitches get stitches.
That's all those things. Yes. Yeah. Dr. Seuss is with us here. Brian Pasulo at the PGA Merchandise Show.
I have to engage in some tomfoolery.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't do that on this show, then what do we have you on for? Have you seen anything tantalizing? I mean, back in the day, the PGA Tour Merchandise Show, let's just say there'd be a lot of eye candy. But we're not allowed to do that anymore. So are those days gone?
Totally gone. This is Dude Central, and
it's a sausage party.
Yeah, and the fashion today, everybody wears these really, really tight pants, and evidently there's going to be a flood today as well because everybody's short pants are too short. And I'm like, I didn't even check the weather this morning. So that's a thing. But
so you're saying you don't have your joggers on? You don't have your joggers on? Your tight joggers?
But I can tell you one thing that is pretty center stage here is the whole AI thing. And quite frankly, I've seen some demonstrations where they take your swing and they turn it into a 3D representation of yourself and break it down to the most incredible 3-dimensional 360-degree and you see what everything it's doing. Remember they used to have to put like the balls on the actors so they could do the movie Avatar?
Yes.
But now they can do that without it. And you can stand there and see your body in a 3D capacity and your swing and your shoulder turn. And every single degree of your shoulder turn is quantified while like 86 degrees, where you got to be at 90 and 84 degrees on your elbow. So that technology is coming to a theater near you.
All right. So I can see how that works. I can see how AI works to help in teaching. How does it help in a golf club?
I think that's horseshit.
Yeah. That's. But and it's the other question I have is like, we do this every year. How much better can you make a driver? Like how much more tungsten or alloy or space? It's all marketing. Come on, right?
No, 100%. I mean, you got to figure that the guys at Apple right now, they know what's going to be in the iPhone 16 and 17. Right. And they're working on it every single day. And they're hoping to be able, I mean, this year they came out with like a different case, which was
titanium. Who cares? Who cares?
Who doesn't want a titanium phone?
Who cares?
And I think it's the same with golf. It's like you've reached critical mass unless you change everything, and you just got to come up with a different name and a different angle, which is fun.
I know you haven't been there long. Is there any scuttlebutt about the golf ball? Because the golf ball obviously is under attack, and I think rightfully so. When Jack Nicklaus and the greats of the game say we got to do something, and they've already taken steps to do something, are we going to have a homogeneous ball for everyone?
It's a great question. I thought perhaps one of the greatest sound bites of 2023 that really sort of went under the radar was Rory McIlroy slipping out. Do you think you played the same balls as us? And I'm sure that he was censured for saying that because, these guys all want you to think that you are playing the same ball as them. And that's why they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy.
Right.
So in terms of the regulation, haven't heard a whole lot about it. I mean, look at Titleist. Every guy that works there has a white jacket on. I mean, these guys are just absolutely crushing, right?
Yeah. And they charge $50, $60 per dozen balls when the Vice ball is the same exact ball and they charge $30. But their branding is so good, people still think I got to play a Titleist.
Yeah, and then you got a guy who's a 16 handicap going, well, the Pro V1X really suits me better. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's not the ball. You could be using pinnacles. You're going to shoot the same score, right? Yeah. So much of the golf is marketing. But the bottom line is the AI affecting your swing and making people swing better. I think is definitely so. As a teaching tool, that's a huge step.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there was AI that went into the research and development. Actually, I'm quite sure there is.
Right. Yeah.
But every day on the golf course, and maybe that AI does give you more forgiveness on, for example, the sole plate or the heel or on the toe. But every day on the golf course, it's not artificial intelligence taking place during your round. And that's horseshit.
All right. So Nick Dunlap wins as an amateur last week. Okay. He can't take any money because we have this stupid amateur rule. For some reason, he can't say, I'm a pro now, give me my check. I don't know.
At what point would he have had to say that in order to
Before the tournament, which is stupid. I mean, amateur status doesn't mean anything anymore. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, is it going to take the Supreme Court to come in and tell the PGA ex post facto, by the way, you can't do that?
Right.
I mean, guys, get your shit together. Amateurs should make money. It's the best golf story of the year. And by the way, it's a better golf story if that kid did make money.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. Christian Bezadenhout, who finishes second and gets them, that dude should be cutting a check to Nick Dunlap right now. $1.5 million. Keep 200,000 for yourself. Whatever. You didn't earn it. Give the kid the money.
I would concur with you.
Yeah.
I would concur with you.
That's
what an
crazy.
Extraordinary athletic endeavor. What was Phil Mickelson? 91 was the last guy to do that.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. He was a child.
Yeah. You gotta stuff. Do a walk and talk interview for me. Just grab somebody and do a Fasulo. Tell them we're on live on the biggest show in the world, the JP Peterson show.
Do you want to see
millions of people watching?
Do you want to see the kid from the socks that don't sweat?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
This is a kid. He's 23 years old. His name is Matthew. Where are your socks, boy? Oh, they're on your feet.
Got them on my feet.
All right,
Shocking development.
Several days.
Don't you have them like in your hand or something? So the first question people ask is, how do you make socks that don't smell? And how is there nobody else here selling the same thing? So you got to talk into my ears, but don't kiss me.
So odor stems from bacteria. And we've got antibacterial socks that neutralize that odor-causing bacteria. So whether your feet are wet or dry, cold or hot, they will not stink. These socks, they cannot stink.
So that to me is fun stuff, especially, I love the fact that he was an athlete, right? The kid can throw 93 miles per hour from the left-hand side. He was going to University of Georgia to pitch and blew out his arm and said, I want to stay in the game. I want to, be free to run around and do things. So he's an entrepreneur. He sold over $250,000 worth of socks this year online.
Wow.
He goes around to colleges and does pitch offs, and it's just a great story. And he wanted to come here. Well, I'll let you tell. So what do you think of this show, and do you see yourself being a vendor here someday?
I love the show. I got to talk into your ear here, Brian. I love the show. I definitely see myself coming here being a vendor one day. I think golf's the perfect market for it. Whether you're playing 9 holes, 18, or 36, you got stinky feet. Stinks up your bag, you're locking your car. Your friends and family complain, and we got the solution for you. So I look forward to being a vendor one day and coming up with more than just socks.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
He recommended underwear.
Yeah. Why can't you do underwear? Why can't you do underwear?
Thank you.
Ask him why can't you.
So he says, why don't you do underwear? And you must hear that a lot. But what is the answer to that?
The biggest way companies go under is they try to go horizontal versus the vertical growth. We got to focus on socks first. And once we sell enough socks, then we can do underwear. Don't
All right,
worry.
fair enough.
Some of those
Smart
sticky
kid.
parts, they'll go away too.
He is a smart kid. So
Smart
his
kid.
website is oxsocks.com.
I'm going to get some right now.
It's getoxsocks.com. I'll bring you
All
some
right.
home, JP.
Oh,
Now I
cannot
got to go
wait.
get a smoke driver.
All right, go get a smoke driver. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you joining us. That was
Hey,
awesome.
thank you. Good times, man. Keep me
All
posted.
right, you're the best.
see you.
You're the best.
Later.
Brian Fusillo right there. How about that? Take you live to the PGA Tour. We need to do that more often. All right, I pledge we'll do that more often. We'll go to. I was supposed to get Brian Bradley's going to come on with us for morning skate, most morning skates as we go through the lightning season, and now that we got him working on the phone, we got him on the phone. He can do StreamYard on the phone like Brian just did. Then we'll do the walk and talks. How about that? And we can see all the teams come in. We'll take you live the morning skate. That'll be cool, right? We'll do that. We'll do that for you. All right, we will take a break and come back. Matt Matera is going to join us from the Pewter Reports at 11:30. So we will chat with him. We'll do some more Buccaneers. Back in 3. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here as we roll through on a Thursday, going solo here. We're trying to get Matty Matera on. He's having a little issue with his laptop, so we'll see if we can get that done. Obviously, if you guys want to join the show, then you can comment on Facebook or on YouTube, and you can also do it at FanStream JP as well. I wanted to get there was something on Twitter that I put up this morning. I wanted to try to get you guys the audio, but I may not be able to do this on the run. Yeah, we'll try to get it up at another time. Oh, here we go. Something else I want to get to. But by the way, we are brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you would like that personal attention that you get from the smaller law firms, big enough to go after the big boys, and they get some huge settlements, folks, but also small enough to give you the personal attention that you deserve. So go to the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Get your free case evaluation. So call there, tell them JP sent you, please. And just tell them, hey, I have this, I totaled my car. I didn't get enough money. I don't think, can you look into it? They'll get some information for you. And who knows, you may have less $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 on the table that they can get you, maybe more. Same if you're dealing with any insurance claim at all, it's good to have an attorney in your corner, and the Jeeves Law Group will do that for you. So all class action lawsuits, any type of legal issues that you have, the Jeeves Law Group can handle it. JEEVES lawgroup.com. All right. FSU's schedule is out, and the ACC schedules are out. Of course, they're starting on August 24th in Dublin, taking on Georgia Tech. That should be an interesting too. Georgia Tech obviously beat Miami last year in the Kneel Down Classic. They're definitely an improving team, but Florida State should certainly win that. Then they've got Boston College at home on a Monday on September. So that's two nationally televised games right off the bat for FSU, and likely their new quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, who will probably be their starter. And it's good if you're starting off with two nationally televised games like that, where you're the only game on TV. You know, you don't necessarily want to go into that with a more of a neophyte quarterback like a Brock Glenn or who's the new freshman that they have. Skipping my mind right now. But Uiagalelei will be their quarterback if he doesn't get hurt in preseason. Start those two games off, a couple of hopefully dubs there. Then you get a bye in week 3, and then Memphis comes to town, Mike Norvell's old team. So hopefully he can get a dub there. Then Cal, that new ACC powerhouse. Cal actually had a good year last year. Had a bowl win, pretty good football team. So that'll be an interesting there. Probably their first or second ACC road game. Yeah, the 21st or probably second. So Cal will be coming to Florida State for the first time, I'm thinking, on the 21st. Then they're at SMU on the 28th of September. So their first ACC game at SMU. We had another good season. And then October 5th, Clemson at home. So the big home game with Clemson, that's going to be huge. By the way, Clemson, 0 portal transfers this year. That'd be a big goose egg. But they feel like they're going to have a good team. Then they get a bye after Clemson. Then they're at Duke on a Friday night. So a short week at Duke on Friday night. Then on the 26th, they're at Miami. So they'll get an extra day to prep. So at Duke and at Miami. Miami obviously improved from a personnel standpoint, but they've lost, 3 straight times to FSU, and I think 5 of 6 now, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. So if Miami doesn't win this year, the streak's going to get even longer. Then they've got North Carolina, no more Drake May, but they'll be, they're always a good football team. So North Carolina at home. Then at Notre Dame on November 9th, could be a cold game there. So at Notre Dame on November 9th, that's probably maybe the only game that they won't be favored in. Maybe the Clemson at home, I think you're favored if you're undefeated at that point. Then you've got a bye, then Charleston Southern at home, and then Florida at home. So you got Clemson and Florida at home. You come off a 13-0 season. Yeah, I'm not counting the last game. That's a very, dare I say, manageable schedule. You don't play Louisville, who's I think going to be a really good football team. They've crushed the transfer portal and won 10 games last year. So I think Louisville's dangerous. You don't play them in the regular season, but we'll probably play them in the ACC championship game. And I think they could be a top 10 team. But whatever, win the ACC championship game and you're in, you get the automatic bid. The loser of the ACC championship game, if Louisville's got 1 loss, FSU's got 1 loss, or one of them, or both are undefeated, the loser of that game has got to go to the playoff in a 12-team playoff. But with ESPN running it, who knows? So I get your automatic bid. But with the team that they have coming back, with an experienced quarterback now in Uiagalelei, not that he's not the best quarterback in college football. I don't think he's terrible. He had a good season once he got out of Clemson. He had a good season last year. So I'll be interested to see what Mike Norvell can do with him, all 6'5", 240 pounds of him in that offense. And of course, you got a lot of good, Hakeem Williams coming back. You've got a couple of good tight ends coming back. You're loaded in the running back room. They got a lot of good players coming back for FSU. So I mean, you lose 2 of those games, it's a bad season. You drop 1 to Clemson, Miami. Florida still, obviously, that's a team you should beat. No question about it. Even though they got 2 of the top 4 overall recruits coming in DJ Lagway, their quarterback, the number 1 overall quarterback coming in. Does he displace Graham Mertz, who had a fantastic season in Florida? We'll see. Will he be playing by then? We'll see. And is he the next Caleb Williams? We'll see. But it's an interesting schedule. And I think if you're Florida State and you 2 losses on that schedule, I think you'll probably go, okay, did you drop 1 at SMU? Did you lose at Notre Dame? Did you lose at Miami? I think 2 is an okay season. 2 losses in the regular season, okay. 1 is where I think is a good season. Obviously, 0 is a fantastic season. So I think they got a shot to have they should be a top 10 perennial team this year with that schedule for Florida State. Not too shabby. All right. Other stuff to get to today. The Ravens, Mark Andrews, tight end, still leads them in red zone touchdowns with 6, even though he missed the entire second half of the season. He's one of my fantasy teams. So, yeah, before he got hurt, dude was balling. And he is, without question, Lamar Jackson's go-to guy at the tight end and in the red zone. Huge, huge addition, even though Isaiah Likely has been fantastic. So now you got Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews in a double tight end set with Lamar Jackson, a threat to run. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that Kansas City defense. Patrick Mahomes on the road, second straight week. They did a great job last week, but Bill should have won that game. But tip of the cap to Andy Reid, who, let's be honest, has not had the greatest record in big games, right? Evenly matched. I don't even think it's evenly matched. I think the Ravens are the better team by far. 3.5-point spread. I love the Ravens in this spot, especially with Mark Andrews coming back. Lamar is playing at the top of his game. Love the Ravens in this situation. Of course, we saw the promo though, right? Ravens and 49ers in the Super Bowl. We saw that leaked out. So we already know the Ravens are going to win. San Francisco, Deebo Samuel is the deal. Deebo Samuel is the deal. What the hell's happening with Deebo Samuel? If he plays, the Niners win. They're 7.1 yards per play with him, 5.6 yards per play without him. Brock Purdy's quarterback rating's got about an 18-point difference with him and without him. So if Deebo plays, I think the Niners win comfortably. If he doesn't, it's a crapshoot. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Matt Matera from the Pewter Report. Looks like you got everything fixed. Looking good, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm better now. How are you?
Good. You and Dave Canales hanging out in Charlotte this week. What are you guys doing? I see you got the blue headphones on. You got the Carolina Panthers colors working. What's going on?
It's Gasparilla, man. You got to be in Tampa. And I feel bad for Dave Canales. He's going to miss this weekend. But yeah, that's one of the biggest storylines right now with the Bucs is will Dave Canales still be the offensive coordinator? Because it does sound like Carolina's very, very interested.
Well, I mean, I also read today that Vrabel is going to interview there on Thursday. Clearly, obviously, has more experience. They're also going to interview Bobby Slowick from the Texans. Raheem Morris is getting a second interview. So I get the whole Dan Morgan, Dave Canales thing, but I think they've definitely got some guys with better chops than Dave Canales. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. You can't – if you're Dave Canales, like, what do you have that Mike Vrabel doesn't, besides like a different offensive scheme that you may like a little bit more? Because Vrabel obviously is a defensive guy going back from his playing days to his coaching days as well. So yes, there is definitely way more qualified people than Dave Canales. And that's not a knock on Dave. It's just he's the first year play caller in this league. So that's a huge jump right away. And I think even Canales would agree that, yeah, he might need a little more seasoning as a play caller before he takes the next jump and decides to man a whole team. The one thing I am worried about, though, or at least if I'm a Bucs fan, I'd be slightly worried about is, yes, there's interviews with Vrabel and Slowick, and I would imagine Johnson down the road. And all the other coaching jobs are filling up. Harbaugh yesterday. But I'd be a little bit worried that even though Vrabel's taking this interview, does Vrabel and guys like that want to go to Carolina where there's not much around you? There's no first-round pick this year, and you got Bryce Young. You could find yourself in a situation where a lot of these candidates go, thanks, but no thanks. And they go, hey, Dave, we'll sweeten the pot for you a little bit more, this much more money, maybe even give you a little bit of control, not like GM status yet, but a couple of things behind the scenes that he can have a say on where it's like not the best situation, but the amount of power I'm getting and the amount of money they're throwing at me. Why not take a shot? Because Canales is an upbeat guy that already bet on himself to come to Tampa Bay. He'll go, hey, I'll bet on myself again, and I trust me. So that's the one scenario I would worry about a little bit if I'm a Bucs fan. But everything has to fall into place for that to happen.
I would agree with that. And Raheem has got another interview with Atlanta, I believe, as well. I think, where do you think they're at with their coaching job? I mean, Belichick obviously has had 2 interviews. I don't know if he's going to stick around and wait much longer. But like you said, a lot of these jobs are filling up. Looks like Ben Johnson's got the Washington job, right? So,
I mean, who knows? Everyone's going to interview with everybody. Who thought Tennessee was going to go with Cincinnati's offensive coordinator like that away without trying to get one of the bigger fish out there. Atlanta's an interesting one because I truly feel that with the pieces they have on offense, they are a quarterback away from being a legit threat to the NFC South. Now, do you want to bring in Belichick, who, couldn't develop Mac Jones and does not have a good track record with just offensive players in general since drafting them over the past 10 years, where, someone like Slowick would be way more interesting because he just worked with a rookie quarterback if Atlanta decides to do something like trade into the top 3. So Slowick, I think, for Atlanta would be towards the top. It's also difficult if he's just going to be a coach to say, hey, Bill Belichick, I know you're the greatest coach of all time, but we don't want you as our head coach. It's it's an interesting one. It's a little bit of musical chairs.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier in the show, I worked for Arthur Blank for a couple of years, got to know him a little bit in Atlanta. He likes the big stage, like all these owners do. I don't mean that in a bad way. Arthur's just the most tremendous human being you'll ever meet in your life. But he's in his 80s. He wants a Super Bowl and he wants to be relevant again. And Belichick brings relevancy, but he's not the type of coach that he likes. He likes a high energy guy like a Dan Quinn. I know Arthur Smith wasn't necessarily that, but I think he wants somebody that's going to come in and give some life to this franchise. But again, Belichick makes you relevant immediately, right? In the big circles. The chase for Don Shula's record becomes part of the whole deal. It makes you relevant. But I agree with you. If I'm a Bucs fan and then you hire Belichick, I'm secretly going, okay, all right, I'm okay. If they go out, if they were to get Vrabel, for instance, I would be worried. And if they find a quarterback, they still got to find a quarterback, though.
Yeah, that's the biggest piece to the puzzle. And, you know, the NFC South, whether it's Atlanta or maybe New Orleans next season or whatever happens with Tampa Bay next year, going to the NFC South, if you're a coach and you want to have immediate success or a chance to compete in the playoffs right away, that's probably the best spot to go to because, yes, the Bucs have won the division the last 3 years in a row, but they haven't necessarily done it with numbers like Usain Bolt winning the Olympics every year by multiple seconds and nobody coming even close. So if you're a younger Belichick, it makes sense. You want to rack up those wins, break the record, as he said. But if you're a younger coach as well, hey, this is a great spot for me to come in and compete right away. And sometimes coaches have that beginner's luck type of thing. Not that I think that the Texans were lucky by any means getting into the postseason, but new look, just new ideas and mentality, and a lot of things can change. So I think Atlanta is like, if I'm a coach, I'd much rather go to Atlanta than Washington and have to deal with the Cowboys, who, even though they choke in the playoffs, are a good regular season team.
Right.
And Philadelphia, who I would bet on could probably right the ship. So yeah, I think Atlanta is probably one of the more lucrative head coaching jobs still available.
I would agree. That's a good spot, especially if you can get quarterback right, and they may go get Justin Fields. Be interesting. If they did that, Vrabel, Justin Fields, and that team right there. I said it earlier. I think they would be the favorites in the NFC South.
That would be super fun to watch.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say that because I was listening to something that former GM Mike Tannenbaum was saying. And he kind of proposed a 3-team trade. And it was essentially Cleveland trades Deshaun, and now Justin Fields to Atlanta. This case wouldn't be it, but Fields is in the mix where Cleveland wants to shed the contract of Deshaun Watson. It hasn't really worked out. So they trade Deshaun Watson to Atlanta.
Okay.
And then Chicago trades Justin Fields to
Cleveland.
And I forgot what happens with Chicago, but they end up like getting more draft picks or whatever it is.
And they get Atlanta's first round pick.
Yeah, and then they still get to draft Caleb Williams with the first overall pick, and then they get another draft pick in there. That would be kind of cool because, again, obviously Watson bad.
That works for everybody.
Field, but it works for everybody. But I agree with you. Fields in Atlanta, I think, would be super, super interesting.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, playing in a dome, the cool jerseys, if they went all black jerseys, the team just seems fast. And I don't know if it's because they play inside, because they got Pitts and Bijan Robinson and guys like that, Drake London. But Bucs fans don't like hearing this, but
I don't want to hear it.
That'd be pretty interesting to watch.
Stick with Desmond Ritter and go get some retread.
Please. Yeah.
Or Belichick, even better.
Yeah, go like sign Ryan Tannehill or something.
Absolutely.
That's what Bucs fans are hoping for.
That'd be fantastic. Matt Matera joining us here. So Bucs off season. I think we've all agreed that we want to see Mike back. We want to see Baker back. I just went on this tirade this morning about, quarterbacks that want to get all the money in the world. And I don't think Baker's one of those guys. But I think it makes a difference if if his agent comes in there and says, "Hey, I want 120 guaranteed, 40 million, up front," and I'm just saying, no, you don't need to do that, man. If I were Baker, I'd say, give me, 75, 85, 95 guarantee in that range. Give me security for 3 years, and I want to leave money on the table so you can sign Mike, sign Winfield, sign Wirfs, sign everybody, And I'm not going to say I would, he wouldn't have to say that publicly. We'll say it for him, right? We'll say it for him and say, look what Baker did. He left money on the table, because I do think there's a team out there that would entertain that after the season that he had, right? You could go to the Bucs and say, this is what it was. I think it would be a stupid move. I think, and I know all about the NFLPA wants you to get, I said, that's bull crap. I don't care. It's your life. You found a home, stay here, take less money, build around you. That's where your head should be at. You'll make more money in endorsements anyway if you did that.
Oh yeah, and Baker Mayfield's the king of endorsements. I mean, when he got drafted, he had all those commercials. And it's funny you say that because even if he took a deal, let's just say it was 2 years for $40 million, so he's getting $20 million a year. That's still a gigantic pay upgrade than what he was getting paid last season. So I'm with you. I don't want the Bucs to end up having buyer's remorse by overpaying. And I get it. Like, Baker played great. He deserves a pay raise. He deserves to see more money this year. But I don't know. I just see other teams around the league, like even, and Jalen Hurts I still think is really good. But do you think the Eagles have a little bit of buyer's remorse right now with the amount of money they gave Jalen Hurts and what the Eagles did this season? Or Dak Prescott, I think, is probably a better example.
Way better. I just
with Dallas.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. If you're a quarterback, how much is enough?
Yeah. And I get it. Like, Baker's always had a chip on his shoulder. I think sometimes with, I want to be the highest paid quarterback or wide receiver, or whatever it is. It comes down to an ego thing. But once again, I think Baker's ego got humbled over the last year just from getting.
That's not his brand.
So we know his whole story. We don't need to rehash it again. But yeah, I think Baker. And Todd Bowles talked about this a little bit. Yes, like, you want to get paid as much as you want, but also loyalty is important, and fit and scheme is really important.
Exactly. I
always kind of go back to, and this was way back in the day, but when Josh McCown had a couple of good games as a backup quarterback when he started, and then he got paid a huge contract and was never the same. Or Matt Flynn on the Packers.
Right.
All that in one game for the Green Bay Packers in the last
Scott
game.
Mitchell. Yeah.
And then the Seahawks ended up paying him a ton of money. Sometimes you go to a new team and you can't recreate the magic that you had with your prior organization. And I'm not exactly sure how many other teams are looking for a Baker Mayfield style quarterback right now. Because a lot of times that goes, hey, we got a great defense, we got some good pieces, but we're a quarterback away. In years past, you've seen teams like that, but there's not one team that really jumps out to me in the moment. Like the Steelers, kind of, but they got a whole situation with Kenny Pickett under contract.
Right.
So I don't see that happening. I don't know if Baker necessarily has the dance partner this offseason that he was able to get with the Bucs last offseason.
I think it's a great point, and he has to know the market. So I think the Bucs are in a good spot here to keep Baker at a reasonable number.
Yeah.
And then Mike, you got it. Given what he did this year, I wasn't big on paying him 4 years, $120 million at the beginning of the season. I said, let's see what he does at age 30. He blew all the projections away, and I'm fine. Pay him for another 3 years, maybe an option for a fourth, but I think you got to get that deal done, right?
Without question. I mean, his numbers were some of his best, whether it was yards, receiving, his touchdowns, which, by the way, 13 touchdowns tied the NFL lead with Tyreek Hill. So nobody was scoring more touchdowns than Mike Evans this season. These were his best numbers since 2018. And I'm sure some Bucs fans will say, well, what about the drops that he had? I hear you. I get it. But I would counter that with where would the Bucs offense this season, where would it be without Mike Evans?
Right.
How many times did Mike Evans have a big moment, have a big play, or just had the offense run through him, or had the defense say, we have to put all of our attention on Mike Evans?
Mm-hmm.
The Bucs offense would look so different last season, or this season, whatever you want to call it, without Mike Evans in there. He's so crucial to this team. Even when he's having a bad game, he still impacts the team to get other defenses to focus on him. So without question, I think he needs to be back. I think he hit the nail on the head. 3 years would be perfect because, maybe the decline starts happening in year 3. But it would just be really hard to see Mike Evans in another uniform. And I don't think it's going to happen because Bucs organization, their front office, if they want a guy, odds are they usually
get it done. They get it done. And they've got cap room now, and they've got some room to work. What do you do with Shaq Barrett? Tough situation.
Yeah, it really is a tough situation. And it goes without saying, like, he had such a tumultuous offseason from his family tragedy to rehabbing from an Achilles injury as well. Awful. It's tough because he's getting paid $14 million, and 4.5 sacks just isn't enough production from a guy that you are paying
half a sack in the last 8 games too.
Yeah, exactly. And the weird thing is I get it. You want to open up a roster spot, but the Bucs still have to eat a fair amount of dead money with cutting Shaq Barrett. Now,
right. You'd rather have the player. in some capacity, especially coming back off an Achilles. The first year going to be tough.
Yeah, and
so he could be a lot better next year.
Talking to him is that's the other thing too. Yeah, and talking to him when all the Bucks were cleaning out their lockers the day after the last game, he's made it clear, like, he understands why he may be on the chopping block, but he also loves Tampa. He calls it a second home. He said his kids love Tampa. So I wonder, I don't know all the details of the finances and everything, but, in the past, they would do this with Cam Brate, where Cam Brate would essentially just take a pay cut every single year. And I wonder,
get more money up front. They're not losing money, but get more money up front. Yeah.
But some way to help out the cap room a little bit where Shaq can get his money and you give him one more opportunity. But I think the odds are that they are going to release him, and then it opens up a situation where outside linebacker and edge rusher might be the first round pick of the Bucks this year.
I don't think whatever you do with Shaq, to me, edge rusher is the number one priority. And whether it's free agency, which they're, impossible to find in free agency, obviously. Nobody's letting good edges go. You found one in Shaq, which was a diamond in the rough, and Jason Light, that was a huge home run and a huge part of, finding Ryan Jensen and Shaq as free agents were such a key to winning that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's, it should never be understated, but that's really hard to do because you don't let go of good offensive linemen or edge rushers. So you usually got to find them in the draft. And picking at 26, it's hard to find an elite one, but it can be had. So to me, offseason priority, number one, edge rusher. Number two, improve at the center position. I would say number three, depending on what you do with Carlton Davis, another corner wouldn't hurt. So that would be my top three priorities. Left guard, obviously. And then I'm trying to find an explosive back. Chase Edmonds was a nice little ad. But, man, I like, you watch a Jahmyr Gibbs, and I know he was the 12th overall pick.
Yeah.
But you can find these Pachecos. You can find these other guys in later rounds that are just explosive. And I think that's a piece the Bucks are missing offensively. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it can help for sure. I would adjust your ranking a little bit with, instead of corner, I would go strong safety. Pair another safety next to Antoine Winfield Jr.
Yep, I like that.
Because Ryan Neal obviously struggled, especially in that last game against Detroit. So I think locking down a strong safety, you're not wrong at corner either, because they definitely need a guy that can take the ball away.
Yeah, catch the ball.
Yeah, because that's been an issue. I think having a backup running back, I love Chase Edmonds as a running back 3. I think that's excellent depth there.
Yeah,
I definitely think they need to draft another running back, probably again in the middle round, as you said, the Pachecos. You can find them at any moment. Yes, they have Sean Tucker on the roster, but I don't know, he can't pass block, and
something didn't work out there. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I would love to stick with the offense. I would love for the Bucks to spend a top 3 round pick, I should say, on another wide receiver. Because Chris Godwin only has one more year left on his contract.
Right.
Trey Palmer was a late round pick. And yes, he's shown flashes, but give me a guy that can kind of come in and be an immediate wide receiver 3 right away. And then maybe, depending on how it goes, could be a replacement for Chris Godwin. And, you get a guy that can break tackles, bring speed, just another weapon for hopefully Dave Canales to work with at offensive coordinator. So either that, or just another receiving tight end, because Cade Otton can catch the ball, but
receiving, he can't block though. Cade's a great receiving tight end. He can't block work.
No. I'm saying bring in another tight end that is more of a receiver, but that can block too. Because Otton, he struggled blocking. My issue with Cade Otton is he can make the catches when he's wide open down the field, but anytime there's a little bit of coverage on him,
it's a good point.
He drops the ball, he loses it. So I like Cade Otton as a tight end 2. I don't really like him as a tight end 1. So you bring in a guy that can block better, that is a better receiver. I think that would just help out the offense so much. So
agreed.
Running back, I would move back a little bit, just again because you could find them anywhere, and just bring in one more weapon on that Bucs offense. I think that could really help it move it along so much better if they have the continuity of quarterback, wide receiver 1, and offensive coordinator.
All right, before you go, weigh in on the lack of timeout at the end of the game. I was livid about it. I'm even more so now.
It does not make sense. I mean, this was a team that said from the beginning that they talked a ton about fighting through adversity and overcoming stuff. And I think you want to fight until the end. You got to call a timeout in that situation. And Bowles saying that it wouldn't have mattered.
That's crazy.
That's not true, because if they kick the field goal and it's good and you're down 11, then the game's done. I get that.
Yeah.
But you have to force them to do it. Not to mention your star kicker, Chase McLaughlin, missed a field goal from 50 yards. So now you're saying, oh, it's automatic that the Lions are going to hit a 47-yarder. So if they miss it, it's still unlikely that they tie it up. But you have, I think at that point, you would have 29 seconds to go 69 yards. Maybe make a big play, go out of bounds, roughing the passer penalty. Who knows? You get closer. Or a Hail Mary. Remember the Buffalo game? Chris Godwin looks the other way. He makes the catch.
Exactly.
And they win the game. So you at least have to put yourself in a chance to try to win. And then his last comment at the end when he said, well, what's the point of using a timeout if you can't take advantage of it? You could have taken advantage of it. So
plus,
I
Matty,
think Bowles was wrong, and he just didn't want to admit he was wrong. He's kind of done that in the past. And it sucks that that's the way that they went out.
Yeah, plus the fact that Detroit screwed up. They screwed up and they knew they screwed up.
Both sides screwed up.
And they were already celebrating. So now you're like, oh, we got to go kick a field goal. I mean, the long snapper's probably drunk already.
Yeah.
They're already celebrating. The kicker put his shoes away. Now he's got to go get his shoes. Plus, you don't in special teams, this matters. You don't have to worry about a fake. You don't have to hold two guys back for a fake. You can commit all 11, and you don't care if you rough the kicker. So go right at him. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. It gives you a better chance.
Botch snap, botch hold.
With that kind of pressure.
Tony Romo,
Yes, of course. It's anything but automatic for 47, 48 yards. I mean, that's ridiculous. And I mean, is it likely? No. Is there a 20%? It's not crazy. It's not even crazy. Look at what Mahomes did with 19 seconds 2 years ago. I mean,
exactly. What about the Titans, the Music City Miracle?
There's so much I can bring up. I saw Florida State at Georgia Tech line up for a 53-yard field goal and get it blocked and run back for a touchdown for game winning for Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
I mean, exactly. I've seen it. The Michigan State,
the game. Miami game this year.
The Miami game. I mean, we could go on and on. We could go on and on.
We could.
All right, instead, just tell everybody what you got coming up. You guys are going to Senior Bowl, right?
Yeah, going to Mobile, Alabama next week for the Senior Bowl. So you can follow it all on Pewter Report. You see my social media right there. And Pewter Report TV, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tons of great content over there and the podcast as well.
All right, Maddie, thank you so much for jumping in. Great stuff as always. Appreciate you, and we'll talk to you down the line. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. Have a great weekend.
Yep, thanks. All right, so let me take a quick break. We'll come back and just finish things up. A couple of notes on Gasparilla. There's something wacky going on in Tampa in 275 too. I was watching some of the clips, so we'll hit that when we come back. Stay with us here on the JPP.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Start the new year with a new diamond from the Gold and Diamond Source. It's still engagement season. Where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? Of course, I just got mine there. I'm engaged. You should do the same thing. Let's go. Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country. A literal jewelry superstore with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. And if you have a loved one or a special person in your life who has a birthday this month, maybe you have an anniversary coming up, you can get 15% off the January birthstone, which is garnet, as in garnet and gold for all your Seminoles. Celebrate that mythical national championship. And it's the Gold and Diamond Source's 40th anniversary. For the past 40 years, they have taken pride in offering only natural diamonds formed over billions of years from the Earth's incredible forces. And gold prices are at an all-time high. Now's your chance to turn your jewelry box into a cash machine. It's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. Just a few more minutes to chat here. I was just reading in the Times. Rick Stroud wrote an article here about Thad Lewis being interviewed by the Raiders. What's the connection? Well, he evidently, while he was at UCLA, Thad Lewis, that is, recruited Jaden Daniels, who ended up going to Arizona State and then LSU. Antonio Pierce, the new head coach there, also going to add Marvin Lewis to his staff, also has a close relationship with Jaden Daniels. Interesting. The Raiders have a quarterback, but own their number 13 overall pick. It's out of range for Daniels, expected to go in the top 5. But Thad Lewis wants it. The Raiders want to interview him, so they've asked permission. Obviously, the Bucs will give that. It may be their OC. So interesting. Thad Lewis, as I said, rising star in NFL circles. And if Dave Canales does get the job with the Panthers, and again, I would guess he's probably their 3rd or 4th pick behind Vrabel, who's going to interview there, Raheem Morris, Todd Monken, Bobby Slowick, not behind all of them, but all of them, have probably a little bit more on their resume, if not a lot more on their resume. But if Canales were the choice, and then obviously the Bucs would immediately hand the offensive coordinator reins to Thad Lewis to keep that continuity going. And I think, who knows, would he go to the Raiders as a quarterbacks coach, passing game coordinator? No. He would have to be OC. So interesting little happenings here going on. And by the way, so I-275 was closed this morning for about 2.5 hours, like cut off both directions because of what troopers are calling a suspicious incident. Suspicious incident? You mean like what happened in Miami with the aliens that came down? The large aliens that came down to Miami, allegedly? What's this? We're not talking about what the suspicious incident was? This close to Gasparilla? Strange. I don't know what's going on. By the way, weather looks good for Gasparilla. I will not be partaking this year, first time in a long time, because we have a game that night, Lightning hosting the Devils. So it's like, you don't want to be the sober dude at Gasparilla. Like, absolutely not. That is, that'll be a no for me. So I probably will just have to show up about 4 hours early, try to find a way to get into Amalie Arena. Hate Lightning games on Gasparilla. Could not, please, whoever's idea that is, stop with that. Okay? It's an awful idea. Speaking of the Bolts, they got the Coyotes tonight coming in, who they lost to. We lost to the Coyotes 3-1 out at Mullet Arena about a month and a half ago. They've called up Chafee again, Mitchell Chafee, to give them 13 healthy forwards because Austin Watson is now injured. So the Bolts have lost a lot of their toughness in Chernak and Jeannot and Austin Watson now. So they're definitely down a few spots, a few rungs here on their toughness level. But tonight they'll take them on as, of course, they're coming off that big win over the Flyers. They're almost to that automatic number of on pace to get 96 points. So they picked up a bunch. So you want to get this game tonight against Coyotes. You're at home, and then you got the Devils, the Hughes brothers coming in on Saturday night. So bank 4 points here, and then you get the All-Star break. So get a bunch of guys healthy and then be able to go on a run. That'd be perfect for them. All right, that'll do it for us today. I didn't screw up too much today, running the show by myself. Our thanks to Matt Matera, Brian Fazzulo for joining us from the PGA Merchandise Show. We will be back tomorrow, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, with more fun and frivolity. I'm trying to find the end of the show clip, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get that. So thank you guys for joining us. We will see you tomorrow.